Episode 28, Tribes and Vibes. It was one of those evenings walking home from work. The streetlights started to glow, and there was a breeze that evening too, one of those where, if you weren't paying attention, the wind could take your hat off. Then I found myself walking past a window. This window looked bright and cozy. I could see a group of friends inside, huddled in the room. Then I clocked the condensation on the window edges. I knew then they were all having a fun time. I continued to walk past, albeit a little slower. Someone laughed in that easy, unguarded way. Someone leaned in. Someone reached across the table like it was normal to be needed. And something in my chest did that quiet thing. Not exactly jealousy. Not exactly sadness. More like a soft ache. Like my body remembering something my brain couldn't name. Belonging. If you're listening to Pivot Era Podcast today, and you've been feeling a little off lately, like your energy dips around certain people, or like you're craving connection but also overwhelmed by it, this episode is for you, because we're talking about tribes and vibes, and why they matter more than we like to admit. Not in a trendy way. Not in a find your people and everything will be fixed way. More in a who am I when I'm around them kind of way. Let's start simple. A tribe isn't just a friend group. It's the set of people, sometimes a small group, sometimes scattered, who make you feel more like yourself, not less. And a vibe isn't just a mood. It's the emotional weather in a space, the tone, the pace, the unspoken rules. The vibe is what your body senses before your mind has words. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and your shoulders tense, or when you're with someone and suddenly you can breathe deeper. That's not you being dramatic. That's your natural insight. Here's something I wish more of us were allowed to say out loud. Not every connection is meant to be a close connection. Some people are perfectly kind and still not steady for you. Some groups are fun and still leave you feeling oddly empty. Some friendships are history, but not home. And none of that makes you ungrateful. It just makes you honest. A lot of Gen Z work culture, and honestly, modern adulthood in general, asks us to be adaptable all the time. I mean all the time. New job, new city, new identity, new version of you. And when you're in a season of change, you don't just need advice. You need steadiness. You need spaces that help you settle back into yourself. Because when life is pivoting, your inner world is already doing a lot of work. Your brain is constantly scanning. Am I okay here? Do I belong? Am I too much? Am I not enough? That's the background noise of transition. Consciously or unconsciously, it just happens. And the people around you can turn that noise up. Or soften it. That's the point here. I want to tell you a story, not a dramatic one. Just real. There was a time when I kept saying yes to plans that looked good on paper. The group chat was active. The photos were cute. The jokes were fast. And I kept thinking, if I just go more, I'll feel closer. But after every hangout, I'd come home and feel strangely lonely. Not because anyone was mean. Because I was performing a version of myself that fit the room. Living in a new city, wanting to make friends, it's part of what you do. The thing is, I was curated, but not myself, really. I laughed at the right beats, rolled my eyes when needed, and in truth, kept my deeper thoughts zipped up. And that's the thing. You can be surrounded and still not be seen. So how do you tell if a tribe is your tribe? Here are a few gentle signals that experience has taught me. Not rules, just clues. When you're with them, 1. Your body feels softer. Not perfect, not always. But you're not bracing the whole time. 2. You don't have to translate yourself. You can speak in half sentences. You can be quiet without being punished for it. 3. Your growth isn't a threat. They're not competing with your becoming. 4. You feel more honest after, not more confused. Even if the conversation was light, you leave feeling like you didn't abandon yourself. And if you're not sure, ask yourself one question gently. Do I feel expanded around them or edited? Now, let's talk about vibes. Because sometimes you find a person you really like, sweet, loyal, consistent, but the vibe is still wrong. And it's confusing because you can't point to anything bad. The vibe might be a constant subtle judgment, or a pressure to be productive, or an unspoken competition, or a kind of emotional numbness where no one talks about anything real, or the vibe might be chaos. Always urgent, always dramatic, always a little on fire. So, the thing is, if you grew up around chaos, that can feel weirdly familiar. It can feel like chemistry. But chemistry isn't always compatibility. Sometimes it's just pattern recognition. This matters a lot when you're in a career pivot, because when you're shifting directions, leaving a job, starting something new, trying a creative path, your identity is tender, and tender identities need gentle rooms. It's hard to hear your own voice if the vibe around you is loud with other people's expectations. It's hard to build courage if every conversation turns into comparison. And it's hard to trust your timing if everyone's sprinting and acting like rest is a flaw. So if you've been wrestling with imposter syndrome lately, it might not be because you're incapable. It might be because you're in environments that constantly imply you have to prove you deserve to exist. Let's add one more layer, because this is an audio-first, AI-assisted podcast, and the fact that we are living in this strange era of digital connection, sometimes your tribe isn't a physical group. Sometimes it's a creator who makes you feel understood, a small online community, a friend in another time zone who texts you voice notes like they're holding your hand. And yes, sometimes it's the way AI and creativity can give you a starting place when you're stuck. But here's the soft truth. Digital connection can be real. And still, your body often needs at least one place where you can be fully unmasked, where silence isn't awkward, where your presence isn't measured by output, where you don't have to earn closeness by being entertaining. So maybe the question isn't, do I have a tribe? Maybe it's, do I have a place to be a person? If you're realizing you're in between tribes right now, if you're in that lonely gap where old friendships don't fit and new ones haven't formed yet, I just want to say, that gap is not proof that something is wrong with you. It might be proof that you're evolving, and evolution is awkward. It's quiet. It's not always photogenic. Sometimes it looks like staying in on a Friday and journaling because your spirit can't handle small talk. Sometimes it looks like choosing 2 emotionally safe friends over 20 social ones. And that's not a downgrade. That's discernment. Here are a few soft takeaways you can carry with you this week. 1. Let your body vote. Notice where you feel calm. Notice where you feel tight. 2. Stop forcing. Fit. Belonging isn't something you beg for. It's something you recognize. 3. Choose rooms that match your season. If you're healing, choose gentle. If you're building, choose supportive. If you're dreaming, choose people who don't laugh at the dream. 4. Be the vibe you're seeking, quietly. You don't have to become a social butterfly. Just become a safe space in small ways. That energy returns. And here's a question, just to sit with. Who in your life makes it easier for you to be honest? And what would it look like to choose them more on purpose? Before we close, I want to offer this. You don't need a huge tribe. You don't need to be universally liked. You don't need to network your way into belonging. You just need a few places, human places, where you can exhale, where you don't feel like a brand, where you can be unfinished because you're allowed to be in progress and still be worthy of love. Thanks for being here with me on Pivot Era Podcast. If this episode landed, please share it with someone who's quietly trying to find their people too. And if you're in the gap right now, you're not behind. You're not broken. You're just learning what your spirit actually needs. And before you go, you're not meant to fit everywhere. Only where you can breathe as yourself. This is an AI voice-powered podcast shared by humans who simply want to connect across generations and normalize the art of starting again. New episodes drop every Wednesday and Sunday. Share it with someone who's navigating their own pivot or who needs to hear that beginnings aren't failures. They're growth.